Welcome to the Choice Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Nastasha Mckeon, founder and CEO of Choice Juicery, author of Plant Food is Medicine, and naturally a health, wellness, and mindfulness enthusiast. I believe that happiness is a choice, and I built my company upon this ethos. This show is a platform where we will discuss all things health, wellness, and mindfulness in hopes of inspiring you further on your journey. We will be sharing inspiring stories, health, wellness, and mindfulness hacks, as well as anything else pertaining to living your best choice life. My hope is that you may hear something on every episode of this podcast that will genuinely be of value in your life. Welcome back to the Choice Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Nastasha Mckeon, founder and CEO of Choice Juicery and author of Plant Food is Medicine. This episode, as well as every other episode, is sponsored by Choice Juicery. So if you want to support the show, you can do so by visiting us online at choicejuicery.com, where we are shipping all sorts of amazing products throughout the nation. Everything from our gluten-free bread, which is the best gluten-free bread on the market. Don't just take it from me. We have tons of reviews online. Also, our Power Greens, your daily greens with probiotics and protein all in one scoop, as well as all sorts of other awesome products. So go check us out and shop that store while supporting the show. Of course, if you're lucky enough to live in Southern California, you can visit us at any of our 7 locations here. Today's guest, Nikki Jade, is a dear friend of mine. She has been using body-mind mapping science to not only heal herself of celiac disease over 20 years ago, but she's also been using this methodology, if you will, for all these years, helping clients all over the world heal from a variety of different ailments. She's helped people get off of prescription medications and cancel surgeries. So I'm really excited to talk to her and learn a little bit more about what exactly body-mind mapping is. She's founded soulmedicine.com. She's been featured on stages all over the world, including TEDx. So really excited to get her on here today and learn a little bit more and dive into this fun conversation. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Choice Lifestyle Podcast. It's so amazing to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here, babe. You're so beautiful. And I love that you remind everyone that we do have a choice. Like you have a choice right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay, so we go way back. And even though I've known you for a really long time and followed your adventures and journeys around the world, and of course, what you do for a living and how you help people heal, I've never really gotten to dive in and have a conversation with you about the technique that you use, this body mind mapping stuff. So I'm really excited to talk about that today. I know we could talk about a million different things because we connect on so many levels, but I think today, and for the sake of time, I think we'll start there. We'll have to do some follow-up episodes. So yeah, I introduced you to the audience. We talked a little bit about your background, but I want to hear from you how you discovered the science of body mind mapping and how you used it to heal yourself. And then we'll kind of dive into how you're now helping people all over the world with that.
Yeah, girl. Thanks for having me. And I'm so grateful to anyone listening that is in pain or you're at your lowest low, because I know after being there several times in this life that once you get through it on the other side, it's like, holy moly, you had to go through what you went through. And so when you ask me how the science of body mind mapping came into my life and literally changed my entire trajectory of my life, I was working in the fashion industry in New York City and chronic pain in my neck and lower back. And like, I would still wear my stilettos, right? I would like Carrie Bradshaw, I got to keep up. And
Fashion
so,
over function, right? Women.
exactly. So imagine that in chronic pain, still walking in my stilettos down New York City streets. And I used to love walking. I still do love walking, but I would walk 20 blocks in stilettos, 50 blocks. And so the pain is something that I learned to live with. I'm like, this is kind of the way it is, right? And if I get my period, I'm going to be on a heating pad with headaches, with some acne breakouts, with cramps. And it's kind of like what I saw myself go into this robotic way of this is what I've been programmed, is what's expected. Like, this is just normal, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm functioning, and I would have my coping mechanisms like dancing the night away, right? Going to happy hour, having my vodka and club soda with a splash of lime, like the skinny girl drink, because I also had an eating disorder. Like it was everything at once, right?
Mm.
And so when I looked sick. I went home. My mom's Italian. I'm Italian Lebanese, and I go home to my mom like, "Can you just make me some lasagna? Like, I need some comfort food." And she lived right
Mm-hmm.
outside New York City, so she was like, "Holy crap, Nikki! Like, you look unwell. Like, you look actually sick." And she secretly took me to the doctor where they did that camera inside the endoscopy, and
Okay.
they're like, "You have this thing called celiac disease." I'm like, "What? I have a disease? Like, I'm an athlete. I'm healthy. I get the most out of every day. Like, this is not me," but I did feel unwell. And I was like, what's that? And this is 21 years ago when nobody knew what gluten was. So,
Nobody.
nobody. And as I said, I'm in New York City. I would eat my way through the city. Like, that's how I survived: eat, drink, dance. Like, a daily thing I can get through my life in New York City. And so I'm at these five-star restaurants, and the doctors put so much fear in me of like, if you eat gluten, even a breadcrumb, you could die. Like, so severe. And so I had to be so strict, and it just got exhausting. I'm in the back of a five-star restaurant educating the chef on what gluten is, and it can't be on the same pan as me because if I get, it was
Wow.
crazy. And
Wow.
so I just had to like start eating vegetables and fruit because they didn't have any ingredients, right? Even my vodka, my beer,
Yes.
my
Oh my
chips,
gosh. People
everything I
don't
was
realize.
enjoying.
Yeah, it's in everything.
Exactly. And Italian Lebanese, literally
Oh
falafel,
my
pita, lasagna,
gosh.
pizza, everything I
What
ate.
are you gonna do? What are you
Yeah,
gonna eat?
I cried. That's what I did. I ate
Ugh.
vegetables and cried. And I cried and cried. And I prayed for a mentor. I was like, God, please. Like, I want my vibrancy back. I want my health back. I want my joy back. And I feel like when we're ready, right? When the student's ready, the teacher arrives. But I believe
Yeah.
God opens doors for us all the time, and it's our job to walk through them.
Mm-hmm.
And so my prayers and that heartache, I'm not praying every day, right? I'm just coping with the
Right.
pain.
Yeah.
But when I'm
Yeah.
at my lowest low, I'm brought down to my knees
As
and I
we do.
am
Yeah.
crying. Is there a God out there?
Yes.
Is please,
Yeah.
right? And so my friend invited me to this workshop of like reading body language. And I'm like, I love people watching. Like, this is just like fun for me. Right. And so I'm like, tell me about it. And he is now my mentor, was my mentor. He was trained in reading. Well, his gift, he had a brain disease. I did this all in my TEDx talk. I tell his whole story.
I watched
Brain
that TEDx
disease.
talk. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Fascinating. No, I saw it's on your website on Soul Medicine. You had the link, so I
Yes.
watched it. It's really good.
Ah, it was my first talk. I mean, I'm just a healer at that time in La Jolla,
Yeah.
helping my celebrity
Mm.
clients and professional athletes. And, the guy who was running the TEDx thing was like, you just helped all of my athletes like heal things they were considering getting surgery about. Like,
Wow.
what the heck are you doing? And I'm like, oh, it's called the science of body mind mapping. And we just have a conversation and we use the body pain to get to the root cause through a conversation, and then they'll have some kind of emotional release or a tear up or feel something in their heart,
Mm.
and then the pain will go. And he's like,
Wow.
I have a 5-minute slot for you and you're doing a TEDx
Wow.
talk. I'm
That's
like, "Oh."
amazing.
And so my beloved helped me prep for that because
Oh,
yeah.
so back to this friend of yours who I heard this in the TED talk. He was born with some sort of a disorder. I think you literally called it like not a name, but you said like half of his brain was essentially like not functioning or
Yeah,
like melted, I think were the words you used in the TEDx talk.
exactly.
So tell me about that. And then how did that transition to him discovering
Yeah.
this method?
Yes. So he was born stillborn, dead, right? They brought him back, and when he came back, yeah, he was different, right? His
Yeah.
brain did something where it all got changed, and he was able to see energy his whole entire life. He was the weird one, right? And so he would be like,
Wow.
there's always obligation that's sitting on the right shoulder. Like that person's an obligation and they're having this chronic shoulder right pain. And he started to just notice the patterns and the similarities in all the bodies and everybody. And he was so accurate that he was flown all over the world by the CIA, the FBI. They would call him in to ask the criminals challenge like that they couldn't solve the challenging case. He would come and ask them questions. They'd end up crying and like confessing and like having this whole spiritual journey. They don't care if they're in jail anymore. They're
Wow.
over it. They're just like, you touched on something that's been living inside me now, even though that person's in the jail cell, they're a new person in there. And it's like
Wow.
they get a piece of them back. And so his life, he just touched me. That I got lucky to meet him at the end of my life because I was just going to learn body language. Like, what does it
Yeah.
mean when someone's feet are pointed out when they're walking versus if one foot is turned in when they're walking, and, their arms, and are their hands in
Wow.
their pocket, and, all the things like the micro expressions. And so
Yeah.
I'm fascinated, right? But it wasn't enough for me to be like, here's 10K for this mentorship he was offering. I'm like, I'm just paying my bills. I'm trying to just like eat my
Yeah.
way, through the rest of
Yeah.
it at the time. And like, so I couldn't fathom investing in myself in like, what am I going to learn? Like, okay, so that's where I was at. But before I left that workshop, I was fascinated, but I wasn't sold. But before I left that workshop, he was like, Nikki, let me just work on you for a minute. So I go to the front of the room, I lay on the table, and he does this body work technique that now we train our soul medicine coaches to do, right? Like there's actually physical releases you could do alongside the conversation to make it all go faster. But he asked me this one question. I start bawling my eyes out more than I've ever cried, I think, in my entire life. And he knew exactly where to go within 5 minutes to make me have that reaction and
Wow.
that release. The next morning, Sasha, my flow, I didn't tell you this, my period stopped for 9 months. Like when I had it, I hated it so much that I would be like, give me a break, God. Like,
Wow.
stop this madness. And then my period stopped for a month and 2 months. I'm like, okay, this is a nice break. By the third month, I'm like, oh my God, like
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I want to have babies. Like I'm going to need a
Yeah.
healthy cycle. Right. And so
Right.
then I started trying everything to get it back. Acupuncture, they would burn herbs on my legs, and
Wow.
massage and yoga, like reading books, I was trying everything to get my cycle back for a solid
Right.
9 months since it
Oh my
disappeared.
gosh.
Yeah. And then, so I meet my mentor. I go to this workshop, right? I'm in this curious, open minded, walking through doors. The workshop was only $100. So I'm like, okay, I can invest this. Like, I'll
Yeah.
stretch myself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now I've invested like over 200 grand in my personal
I'm
development, right?
sure.
And so, but this initial time, I'm there. He asked me that question, have a release. The next morning, I go home and my flow is full on
No
red,
way.
beautiful, flowing. I'm like, I got the chills. I'm like, this is a
Wow.
miracle. I was
Can
like, I
I
called,
can I ask
yeah,
you, were you connected when he asked you that question, and he did the technique on you? Were you connected to what it was that you were releasing? Did you have
n-
awareness, or was it
yes,
just
in the
like,
moment because he
okay,
brought it there. But I
okay.
didn't know that I was carrying
Of
that
course
issue
not. I mean, no, we
inside.
never do. We never do. But in the
Yep,
moment he connected it and you were aware and you
right
released.
on. Right
Wow.
on the spot, babe.
Okay.
Like,
Wow.
that's why I'm still doing this work 21 years later because
Yeah.
it is so freaking accurate. Like, someone could just come to me and tell me their body pain. I'm like, okay, let's go have this huge awakening. Oh, yeah, the pain will go away. But what you're going to get is so much
Right.
more than that, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, you'll be able
Totally.
to eat the gluten again and you'll be able to not
Wow.
have dairy reactions or,
Wow.
crazy cycle.
Wow.
Yeah, but you'll
I
also
love
have a
this.
part of you awaken,
Exactly. Okay, so
right?
so you keep working with him after this. You have this
Okay,
experience,
so then I
and
call his
then
assistant. I'm like, can we do a payment plan? Like, I will get a credit card and figure this out. I will ask my friends for a loan. I don't
wow.
care. I just need to get started and learn everything. Like, I want to learn
Yeah.
everything this man knows. And so I did. I signed up. I learned everything. I was his like biggest student. And before he passed, he gave me his private notes and was like, you need to carry on this work. And I'm like, we're gonna
Wow.
do it together. And like then he had a heart attack 3 days later and like
Oh,
just totally knew he was gonna pass. Like
wow.
he was passing it on to me. And so this really is my dharma to do this work. And
Okay.
it's so beautiful because in the beginning of my career, right, I'm like, I met Maverick and I'm like, I love you so much. And but I had in person, we get married like right after we meet, 2 hours later. We go on a 10-day honeymoon. But before that 10-day honeymoon, I'm like, he's like, let's go on a honeymoon. I'm like, I can't. I have clients. Like, I have celebrities and presidential candidates. Like, they're waiting for their healing session with me. I was
Yeah.
very, right, committed. And I'm such a faithful servant. I'm like, I got you. I'll be there early. And I realized I didn't have the freedom that I really wanted.
Mm.
And so that was my moment when we've been married 16 years. That was my moment 16 years ago of like, I love my life and I've created an amazing reality. But there was a moment where I saw I didn't have freedom to just get up and get into my Mini Cooper
Yeah.
and go on a 10-day honeymoon with my beloved.
Yeah.
Right. But I did because I canceled my client. He helped me work through that. But that's when I was like, he was like, you need to learn like getting your work online. I'm like, and it was a whole new world for me of like, no, I have to touch them. I have to be in person with them. But none of that
Yeah.
is necessary, right? I've learned how to put it
Wow.
all online and do this work more just for passion now because we've learned so much. We've touched so many lives. And what's so cool is when you invest in assets that
Mm-hmm.
bring you, you make income and you invest in
Of
assets
course.
that are going to bring you money back in, you get to really do what you're passionate about and not
Mm-hmm.
making money be like this thing that you need to make from it. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Totally.
And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, I just love
Okay.
helping people all over.
So where in your journey and how far into this work and learning this work did you discover that you could eat gluten again? Like at what point did
Ooh,
that turn on for you?
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, my grandma, my Tata, my Lebanese one, she's like, I don't believe in allergies. And I'm like, okay,
It's
I
actually
don't really
that's great,
either, but I
right?
have to.
Yeah.
And so she would always try and feed me, like, just take a bite of this falafel pita, right? And like she'd make it with so much love. And so I was tempted. And then I had this Italian boyfriend, and we would go to a pizzeria, and he's like, just have one bite. You're not gonna die. And I was so scared because I was programmed that I was gonna die if I eat
Yeah.
gluten. And so I
Yeah.
did it. I'm always into like stretching into your edge, your growth's
Mhm.
edge. Like what
Yeah.
scares you,
Yeah.
right? And so it might sound so silly to feel like having a bite of pizza really scared me, but
No, of
it
course it
did.
does. Yeah, of course. Of
And so I
course.
had a bite and I was like, I feel okay. Like I'm not having any of the symptoms and I don't feel like throwing up or any of that. Then like every time I'd end up eating half of his pizza where he'd just get me my own slice. He's like, eat what you want of it and I'll eat the rest. Right. And so it was
Yeah.
this gradual thing, but working with my mentor and his confidence level, like the fact that he just helped me heal my cycle and my chronic neck pain that I had. Like some days I couldn't turn back. Like I was afraid to get into a car and drive because I couldn't look in the rearview mirror. Like it was stiff neck was
Yeah.
a huge thing I had to work through.
Mm.
And he helped me understand the root cause. And he's like, I can help you heal the celiac disease. And I was like, oh my God. So 3 months with him, I was feeling confident that I could start eating gluten again. And it was incredible to feel good after eating it.
3 months of working with your mentor and
3 months into working with him and like going really deep into, oh my God, trauma that was still stuck in my body, emotional wounds that I was still carrying around, triggers, and honestly, limiting BS belief systems that I would
mhm.
just project, right? We do that when we're unconscious of what's going on. But if your body's in pain, then I promise you there's an old belief system, there's an old trauma or an old experience that's coming up for healing that's like knocking on your door, right? We
Mhm.
teach inside of Heal Your Life Now. Yeah, we teach how pain talks to us at three different levels, right? So the pain escalation. So it's going to start with a feather, right? And if we're too busy to listen to that pain, because the pain has a message for us, and the specific part of the body is where you would open up the body mind map. If you're anything like me, where you have like thousands of thoughts per hour, where you're like, ah, like which one was it that caused that neck pain, right? It's
Wow.
like this is why I keep the this is why I keep the body mind map in my pocket because I'm like, okay, like I just got a paper cut on my right pinky finger.
Mm.
Like that's the level that I listen to at and I teach our students to listen to at because if we don't listen to the feathers, then a brick comes, right? Because your
Mhm.
body loves you. It's trying to communicate to you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if we are not in pain, we can take for granted that our feet are carrying us and walking us around and
Yeah.
our arms are lifting up things, right? It's like
Mhm.
we can take that, but when it's in pain, we're like, oh my God,
Of
like,
course.
well, I'm so sorry. Like,
Exactly.
feel good again,
Right?
right?
Yes, as we established earlier, that's when
And
we drop to
so,
our knees and pray when things aren't going right, right? But we kinda take for granted when they are. So,
exactly,
it's funny that you say that because
exactly. So listen to the feather brick truck.
yes. Okay. So years ago, this is like before you guys moved to Costa Rica. I remember being at a party with you guys, and I was in the kitchen with you and Maverick, and you probably don't even remember this because you were talking to somebody else doing your own thing, and he was sitting next to me, and I was talking to him, and you stepped on his foot and he was like on his big toe or something, and he was like, oh, and he assigned a meaning to it in that moment. I was like, what is he talking about? And so I imagine this must have something to do with this body mind mapping. I'm just connecting that memory right now with what you're talking about. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
100%.
Okay. I was like, what is he saying? Like, cause she stepped on
Yes.
his toe on accident. There's something going on. What? Like, so I didn't know anything. I was oblivious to it, but now it makes some sense to me. So, okay, I love this. When you're working with your clients, I'm just curious to know what this looks like, and I'm sure the listeners are too as we're tuning into this. A lot of things are flooding through my mind right now. I'm like, okay, somebody with a peanut allergy, like how would they know? Like there's so many thoughts that are flooding in right now, especially when it comes to allergy things, right? Because that is scary, as you mentioned, like you were afraid. Well, that naturally for people that have a death allergy to something, that's a very scary thing. What would you say to somebody who like came into this world with that allergy, right? Like from like a baby, they discovered that this baby
Mhm.
has, a peanut allergy, for example, is a big one, right? It's like a death allergy. Could it be something that came in from a previous life? Is it something that happened in the womb? Is it something, could it be tied to something like that? And is that someone that you would be able to help, somebody with a death allergy like that? Or is that more extreme? I'm just curious, like how far does this work go?
It goes, baby. It goes.
I like that
Yes,
answer.
I love your question. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm brought back to a soul medicine retreat where one of the ladies, she came and, we always ask, like the chef always asks, does anyone have any allergies? And sometimes I don't learn this. Like sometimes women go through my work, they go through Heal Your Life Now, and we spend 6 weeks together. But they come to heal their menstrual cycle, or they come to understand their migraines, or they come for some other reason, not even thinking that they can heal their allergy,
Right.
right? So then they come on a retreat and they're like, oh, yeah, I have a cashew allergy. I'm like, you do? I was like, well, let's heal it. Like, I love anything that they come up. I'm like, you can heal it. Like, and
Wow.
so I did the work. I had the conversation with her. Here's the thing with allergies is it's not necessarily important like what the food is or what the label is. More so you want to listen to how does your body uniquely react to it,
Mm,
right? So let's talk about the cashew allergy with this client. Like her mouth would puff up and her lips would get itchy. Her tongue would get puffy, everything would get red. And so that's where we went. That's where the conversation started was,
okay.
ooh, let's talk about that. And so we started there instead of, and this was like she 100% knew that if she ate a cashew, this reaction would happen.
Right.
Like, when you collect enough evidence where you're
Yeah, of
like,
course.
this is what happens, right? And
Hmm.
then you start to expect it. And then you're like, crap, am I manifesting this now? Like
Yeah.
now you're
Yeah.
already ahead of it,
Hmm.
and so it gets tricky. But we had the conversation and I had 100% confidence that we nailed it on the head of like we got to the root cause of when it started because it only had been going on for 10 years. It wasn't her whole
Wow.
life. The ones that go their whole life, we go deeper.
Okay.
And yes, we go into the womb and we do all that, and it can also be coming from a parent, and so that's a whole nother conversation. But someone who's just had an allergy come up in the last years or months or
Right.
you know, then we go into when did it start? That's the other important part. And so we guide you through how to use it step by step, right? We have the freedom method, 7 steps, where it's like walk yourself through using this on the spot because the tagline for Heal Your Life Now, the slug line,
Yeah.
yeah, tagline is called Awaken Your Inner Healer, right? Awaken your inner healer. It's all about you not needing someone outside of yourself anymore. I
Right.
was so dependent on somebody else. Like, please save me. Like, is this, therapist going to save me? Is this acupuncture going to save me? Is this going to be the moment? The hypnotherapy going to be the thing that saves me and changes it? And what I love about body mind mapping is it's a tool you put in your toolbox that you pull out right when pain arises, right? It's not the tool that fixes your entire life, but it will help you navigate pain in such a successful way where you get to transmute the pain on the spot.
Mm.
And that's why I've been doing this work for so long because the miracles just blow my mind how fast and radical and fun it can be, right?
Wow. Wow. There's a lot there to unpack. That's so cool. And I love that you look at it from this holistic approach of everything is communication, that your body is constantly trying to communicate something to you. And if you listen, you can start to
Yes.
uncover what that is.
Mm.
And I love that you also touch on the acknowledgement that it might not be something from specifically this life. I've done a lot of family constellation work. And I love that stuff because it talks about like what they've done research on this where they've like exposed, for example, mice to, like they shock them and they expose them to the scent and they do it repeatedly until the mice develop a, post, traumatic stress disorder. And then they take the sperm from that mouse and they put it in a female mouse and they take the offspring and then they test that offspring and they have PTSD. And so they've done that to show that PTSD is something that can carry through our genes. And it's not necessarily something that happened to me. It might be something that happened to my mom or my mom's mom. And I'm now carrying that in my body. So I've always been fascinated by
Ah,
allergies. I meet people that like have these
yeah.
death allergies that, they like the peanut one being a big one. I've always been fascinated by that, especially because peanuts are something that I love so much. I'm like, how can a peanut that I love so much kill somebody else, and I have to be so cautious, like where I bring peanuts and where I eat peanut butter and these things. Cause so many people struggle with
Mm.
this allergy and, or dairy, some people have a death allergy to dairy. I had a girl who worked for me and she explained what it was like growing up in a home where she was the only one with this death allergy to dairy and what it was like when dairy was in her
Mm.
fridge. And so every day she would see this thing that could kill her. And like that, what that did to her on a emotional level,
Mm.
seeing that her family brought this thing into her home every day that could kill her, and like, unpack that. Oh my gosh. So allergies have just been something that's always fascinated me. And I'm like, where does it come from? How does it make sense? I can't understand it. So connecting those two things, that school of thought that it might not be something that's necessarily from this life, but having the power to do something about it. Because like
Mm.
you, I don't like that I'm predestined to have this issue, and it's just this is just what it is. I don't
Yeah.
like that answer. It's like, what can I do? How can I heal this? So I've always been inspired by your work, not that I've known
Yeah.
much about it, but by seeing you post like, your chocolate and, the red wine or whatever it is that you're having. You're like, I used to not be able to have this bread, or I not, and now I can. And, you look at, I mean,
Yes.
for those of you that are watching this episode, I mean, you're glowing, you're always glowing, so clearly whatever you're doing is working for you. And so to hear that you've been able to
Oh,
heal, and then help others heal is just such a cool story. So I love this.
oh,
Um,
thanks.
so
Oh yeah,
yeah.
girl. Just to circle back to the retreat, the 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 chef had cashew in the dressing and she ate the salad with the cashew dressing and she had zero reaction. The
Wow.
chef told me after, she's like, holy crap, there was cashew in there. And I'm like, there was cashew in there. And she's like, I didn't have any reaction. And I'm like, and now that you know that, are you going to create a reaction? Like, I waited a
Wow.
couple hours to make sure that she knew that she
Wow.
didn't have a reaction. And so then I told her, and she was
Mm.
like, holy crap. And I'm like, so now she's having handfuls of cashews the rest of the retreat just because she could. And
Wow.
she enjoyed them, right? We
That's
have this
so
with egg
wild.
allergies all the time.
Yes.
We see this all the time.
So
Yeah.
true. It's interesting because I started to develop
So,
like an intolerance to caffeine, specifically like chocolate, which is one of my favorite
mm,
things in the world. I would have like
mm,
a cacao smoothie, several times a week. It's my obsession. I love cacao. And I started to have this weird issue where I like took a long time to zero in on what it was, but I was having this horrible sleep issue. I mean, I would get like gripped with this terrible
mm,
anxiety in my chest at night, and it would just, I mean, it would keep me up for hours. Sometimes the entire night it would grip me, and I was trying to like, okay, is
mm.
it this? Is it that? I was doing the elimination diet, all the things. I studied nutrition, so I'm like,
Right.
okay, let me do the elimination diet, add back in all those things, and I ended up zeroing in on it being
Yeah.
chocolate. And I was one of those people who like, I like to finish my night with just something sweet, just one little, just has to be something little, so a little square of like dark chocolate to end my night. And that
Mhm.
ended up being the
Mhm.
thing. I would, something that I've always loved and never had issues with. All of a sudden, if I have one little square, within minutes, I feel this weird anxiety in my chest. And then I will not sleep that entire night. I will just be up and it will just be this weird, I don't even know how to
Mm.
describe it. And so I started getting really fascinated with your work because I started to develop my own weird intolerances as I get older, some people
Yeah.
say like, well, your body changes. And I'm like, I don't want to accept this. Like, I don't want to never eat chocolate
Yeah.
again. So,
No,
uh,
don't accept it.
so if we were working together, I imagine the thing that you would ask me is to focus on that feeling that comes up, you know? And it's funny that you brought up the girl with the cashews and the 2 hours later, because I've had that happen where I've been having something and then I find out it was my birthday dinner and this last year. And at dinner, I was this beautiful, it was kind of like a omakase style restaurant. They're bringing out all these amazing, unique things, and they're bringing us tea and all this stuff with the dinner. And I'm just so in the experience. I'm not even asking like, what's in this? What's in this? What's in this? I'm just eating everything naturally. And then the owner of the restaurant, he's from China, and he has this like beautiful like section of his restaurant that's like all just unique teas that are like 100-year-old teas. And he invites us to this tea table, and he's pouring us tea, and he's talking about the origins. And I'm just so loving this unique experience. And I'm having like the time of my life until somebody says, how do you like handle having this much caffeine late at night? And he's like, oh, it's, my genetics.
Mhm.
I'm from China. We drink tea all day, all night. So it doesn't bother me. And I was like, yeah, but this isn't caffeinated, right? And he's like, oh no, yeah, this is caffeinated. And I was like, and immediately I felt that feeling in my chest. Like the moment I found out, I was like, oh, I'm not going to sleep tonight. And sure enough, like I
See?
didn't sleep the entire night. And so it's interesting. Like, is it psychosomatic?
See?
Is there some truth to it? Like, I
Can you
don't actually
see?
know. Yes. But I relate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I love? I love that you're having the experience and you said you're loving it. Like you're in, my mentor would be like, you always want to get back to your innocence in no
Yeah.
sense, where you're so present. You're just like so here. You're celebrating your birthday. You're getting royal treatment. And it's like you're feeling like a queen, I'm
Yes.
sure. Right. And
Yes.
it's like life is freaking good. And then dum dum dum. Like
Caffeine.
it
Yeah.
literally the person said your trigger word.
Yes.
And yeah. Um we love to start with the belief system,
Mm,
right? Because then you get to the body mind map, you can look up the symptoms, but
yeah.
like what's really present right now that's triggering this. And so for you it's caffeine,
Mm.
and chocolate, you poor thing. Is that still a thing? Or
Yeah, like if I have it early in the day, I'm okay, but that's never when I want chocolate. I want chocolate at night. Like after dinner, I just want that little piece
yeah.
of chocolate, and that is present for me right now. I still, if I have
Yeah.
it within moments, I'll literally feel palpitations in my heart. My chest will
Okay.
start beating, my heart starts beating really fast, and then I will have this weird feeling of it. I can only describe it like anxiety, but I'm not anxious about anything, but I feel like I'm
Yeah.
being chased by a
Yeah.
lion.
Okay.
And I lay my head down at night, and it's like for the rest of the night,
Yes.
I'm running from a lion. And I'm like, well, great. It was not worth that square of chocolate. Damn
Okay.
it.
Oh my God. This is so juicy right now. And like, I want to offer you a free one-on-one session. Just like book it in with me. We're going to
Okay.
go deep. And
I
like,
love
I'm
this.
calling it a session, even though you're my girlfriend, because I want you to just own the space and be like, we're going to talk about me for the next 45 minutes.
Yes.
And I just want to talk about you and chocolate and help you transform it on the spot. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. And then maybe you can do a follow up and we can tell all the listeners how I can now eat chocolate. And that will be a great story to tell.
Let's do it. Oh my
Okay.
God.
Done
We'll do an
deal.
evening chat with chocolate in our hand.
Okay. I love
I mean,
this.
yes. I
I
love
love this.
this.
So cool. So cool.
To
So,
be
one,
continued.
yes, to be
But I do
continued.
want to highlight something. Yeah,
Go for it.
it's a little delayed, but I do want to highlight one thing is how whenever we are feeling a reaction or a
Mm,
symptom in our body, the first thing that all of us do, most of us, 99.9% of us do, is we look for what caused it, what blame, like what can we put the blame on, right? And
yeah.
so for you with the anxiety and not sleeping, it's the chocolate. And you've made enough evidence, you've collected enough evidence
Mm-hmm.
to prove that that's the thing that's
Yeah.
causing. And so what body mind mapping does, and yeah, heal your life now, 6 weeks, we get you to go so internal that then we shape our reality outside of this internal powerhouse on the inside,
Mm,
which is so cool because we get to literally clear out anything that's, it doesn't matter the cause, honestly. Like my client was having the cashew reaction. I'm like, let's talk about your mouth blowing up. Like, let's talk
yeah.
about that. And so then we
Mm,
went into when the reaction started and the
wow.
anger that she, expressed at her boyfriend at the time. And we just
Wow.
went so deep into the moment of when it started. So if you take anything away from this conversation,
Mm,
take away that you want to go to the moment that it starts. Like, what were you going through in that moment? And then
mm.
we'll start to, because I'm like an investigator. So I
I love
love being
this.
live with my ladies. They get a weekly live support call as they walk through the journey because I'm like, yes, like, let me just expand this experience for you. And like, the people who want results, they show up live early. And the people who are like, okay, Nikki, I love you. I'm just going to go through the program and ease my way into your world. I'm like, that's
Yes.
cool too. And then the next round, they come on live, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm here to just shine a light and be like, okay, like, I'm going to just tie it a little bit together for you because I love investigating and I'm a projector and I ask the questions and I love highlighting for you to make the connection of patterns and to go to the root so
Mm,
then we can pull up the weeds and then it's like, oh, the
I
problem
love
actually
this.
does go away. And now
Mm.
we're swimming in love again,
I
right?
love this. I love this. Okay, so tell our listeners a little bit about like what is it that they could be struggling with that this work could be supportive for? We've already established allergies. I think I mentioned some of your clients have been able to get off of like pharmaceutical drugs and not have to go through a surgeries. Like what are some other things that they might be struggling with where this might be a match for them, this kind of work?
Oh my gosh, girl. We've seen so much, like from the little things of, not little, but have anxiety, right? They can't really pin their body point to it besides their heart and chest and
Mm,
just feeling disconnected from themselves. Or someone who has acne or eczema and they're like, this is actually crushing my confidence right now,
mm,
right? To someone who's having thinning hair or extra weight and they're like, my body's changing and I don't like it and I don't understand it. And they want to
mm,
understand it because you can make your hair grow thicker. You can make your nails grow, right? You can get your skin glowing again, but it all is an inside job, which it's not in a potion. Supplements, creams, I love good quality stuff.
yeah.
But the best quality is when you're coming from this fountain within of love and light and you're pouring that and that awareness, right? The precision of I'm so present that when that sneaky BS belief system is trying to run the show, you're like, I caught you. I see you.
Mm,
I'm going to get ahead of you before you sabotage this relationship or sabotage this date
mm,
or, sabotage whatever the
yeah.
pattern is, the finances or the health, however ways, right, that people they get depressed. Or also people want to get off birth control or antidepressant medication. People with diabetes, we've helped. Like the things that you can't even think, like, oh my God, like I was like you where I'm like, I could heal this like life-threatening allergy. Like, I'm scared, first of all. And second of
Yeah.
all, really? Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious, but I'm
Yeah,
also scared. And
totally.
so yeah, people with breast cancer, they've
Wow.
done this work because they wanted to get ahead of it so that it didn't come back. Because we've all heard that story where someone gets breast cancer and then it goes away, but
Right.
then a couple years later they have a relapse and it
Yes.
comes back and they're like, obviously my body's talking to me and I didn't get the message,
Yeah.
right? And so we like to help people literally in whatever they're dealing with to
Mm,
come forth and just get that vibrancy back. People that maybe they've lost that zest for life or that
mhm.
enthusiasm or that like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I love life. Like
Yeah.
sometimes with all the pain that can feel so
Mhm.
heavy, or
Yeah.
women who are going through a divorce and they're just feeling horrible and lost, they come and just find themselves deeper and connect with themselves deeper.
That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. I love all of that. It reminds me of something I learned when I was going through my somatic release breathwork training. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of crossover between that work and a lot of what you're sharing today in terms of like storing things in the body and how that can be connected to ailments, pain, disease, depression, anxiety, all these things. But one of the things that sounds true for me is I remember Jaggers, which is my breathwork teacher. He, founded the modality. He's actually in Austin where you are. You guys should absolutely connect. But
Mm,
he talks about
I would
how
love
like
to.
people go to a chiropractor and they like, get their back fixed up or they go, and they get this healing session. They go do the thing to get the healing, but then he says that like we hold our
Mhm.
bodies like in contraction, like we're contracted. And so it's that contraction that's actually creating the disease. So even if you go, like you said, that woman, she got treated for breast cancer and it went away. But then if you're not healing the thing that kept your body contracted in the way that it was, you might just get that right back again. Same thing, you go to the chiropractor, they adjust your back, you feel nice and
Totally.
aligned, and then after a while it just goes back to where it was
Exactly.
because that pattern, the energetic pattern of holding your body in this constricted state is actually what's manifesting in the disease. So while you might heal the disease, you might just call it right back in when you go back if you don't also heal the emotional patterns that are connected to why you ended up there to begin with.
Sure.
I love
You
this.
nailed it, girlfriend.
I
That's
love this.
right.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it's so important to get the message, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's amazing how this is becoming more common knowledge. I think so many people are stuck in that Western medicine model of, okay, I'm sick, I go to the doctor, I get the pill. I don't feel good, I go to the doctor, I get the pill. I feel depressed, I
Right.
go to the doctor, I get the pill. I'll never knock Western medicine. If I'm like, my brains are splattered on the
Yeah.
highway, please God, take me to the nearest surgeon and patch me up, but anything else that's within my control, I would like to, heal in my own way. And again, another thing that I love that you said is that you don't need a healer. You are your own healer. And I've
Yeah.
always run from people that call themselves healers.
Yes.
I am a healer. I will heal you. Come to me. I
Yeah.
run from that in the other direction
Yeah.
as fast as I can.
Yeah.
I don't believe that any of us are necessarily healers, right? But we might be here to shine a light for somebody so that they can learn how to heal themselves. And that's how I feel
Mm,
with breath work whenever I teach and guide someone through breath work. It's
exactly.
like, I'm here to show you what you're capable of. I'm here to show you what your body can do. I'm not here to
Hmm.
fix you or heal you. You don't need a healer. You're your healer, and we're here to remind you of that. So
Exactly. Oh
I
my God,
love
Nastasha, you you will love what we call a soul wash. It is a breathwork session plus the body mind map. And literally, while you're in the session of the breathwork that my mentor taught me and how to do it, this was 21 years ago when no one knew what breathwork was, or obviously people knew about it, but no one was talking
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Yoga was weird at the time, right? And so I'm just so grateful that people know about breathwork and they're doing it now. And
yeah,
then to include the body mind map of like, your body's talking to you, but where is it talking to you? So then you have me asking you questions using the body mind map. And what I love is our soul medicine coaches, they're able to use the body mind map for their clients that are in a breathwork session and they're asking their client, like, where's the energy right now? And they're like, oh my God, it's in my right hip. Like,
yeah,
and they're doing the breath work, but their energy's in
yeah,
their right hip. And you ask them questions to help them unlock their right hip. And they have the biggest release. Like it just causes the release to come. And you're like, okay,
mm,
now I have all this space inside. And now it's our job to fill it consciously with vision, with what we would love, with prayer, right? And presence
yeah,
instead of, because the old stuff wants to come back in, right?
yes,
Our ego is like fighting to be alive,
yeah,
right? We teach our egos your early guidance only, right? It's just that wounded part that's like, I'm not healed yet. So we like to
yeah,
go in. We work with women and men that have been doing the work and they're like feel like they're circling around because it comes back and they're like, why didn't
mm,
I get it? I've been doing so much work.
yeah,
And so at Soul Medicine, we're like, go here. And we like pinpoint it for them because of what their body is holding on to and their body is telling us, right? The issues are in the tissues, right? Like I love these phrases that have become,
yeah.
more aware in the field of, the body keeps score, the body never lies.
Yes.
All these things that we've been talking about,
Mm.
y'all know it to be true, right?
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
The issues are in the tissues. That's so good. There have been some fun little gems
Yes.
throughout this podcast. And I want to just touch on one more thing that you said, which was, you want people to experience that joy and that like abundant energy. And you were talking about like, you want your skin to be glowing, your hair to be growing, your nails, all these things. Like that's vitality. And
Mhm.
so many people accept that vitality just goes away as we age. And I refuse to accept that reality. And I see people that do, and
Oh
I
my
see
God,
people that
thank you.
don't. And I see people that are like, well, I'm in my
Thank you.
60s now. I had a woman tell me the other day, oh, just wait till you hit 50. You're going to get like that bloat in the gut,
Oh God,
just bloat.
no.
I'm like, don't put that belief system on me. I refuse. Like I plan to be
That's right.
thriving and glowing well into my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s until the day that I die.
That's right.
I want to be filled with that. And we have to be careful of the beliefs that we allow others to put on us. We have to be protective of that because what we believe creates our
100%.
reality. I am a firm believer in that. And so it's so
Yes.
easy to get sucked into that hive mind of like, nope, this is just aging. Oh, just wait. Your back's going to start
Oh,
hurting. Your knees are going to start
oh my
cracking. And that's
God,
just
girl.
reality. It's like, no, no, that's not my reality. I
Ah,
refuse. Right?
or your eyes, right? I'm going to piggyback
Yes.
on that, where people are like, oh, your eyes, they're just going to keep getting worse. And honestly, babe, like I used to wear glasses and contacts, -3.5. Like I couldn't see. And my mentor's like, you can heal your eyes too. And so we worked on my eyes. I don't wear glasses or contacts. I don't have to like worry about that at all. And I see perfectly clearly. I drive. Like as I get older, my vision gets better. As I get
Wow.
older, I get more wiser and glowing, right? Like you're right where you say we're shaping our beliefs, we're shaping our reality
Mhm.
with our beliefs that we're shaping. And so you are the creator, you have a choice right now. And the work is, this is why in module 1 and 2 we just go so deep, and we got Maverick in there,
I
who
love it.
is this like Australian like shaman. He just gives so much of his medicine in module 1 just to like have the most solid foundation of the whole goal of Heal Your Life Now and our world at Soul Medicine is to get you from victim to creator, right?
Mm,
Like if there's the victimhood is, oh my God, like I'm sick because of gluten. Oh, I hate gluten. Oh my
mm.
God, is that gluten? Oh, and then I'll start judging people who are eating gluten. Ah, gluten. You're eating gluten. It's
Guilty.
so outside myself.
Yes.
I know. So outside myself, right? The blame is on the gluten. And it's like,
Mhm.
we want you to pull back your power, right? So we start so solid. We don't get to the body mind map till module 3 and 4. And then in module 5 and 6, we teach you how to use it. But the most important thing is the foundation of,
Mm.
hey, let's just admit where we've been in victimhood. I've been there. Oh,
Mhm.
shoot. There's parts where I'm still there. And you
Yeah.
look at it so deeply. And we say this to our clients. We're like, even if you move from victim to angry creator,
Mm.
because this is a thing, it's frozen. I just want to make sure that we are connected, saying
It's not it's
reconnecting.
not frozen on my end. Hold on though.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see you. And there you are. It's reconnected.
Okay, yay.
Okay. Yeah, we're together.
Yes,
Edit that.
yes. Yes, we're
So
good.
we want you to go from victim to, yeah. We want you to go to victim to creator. And even if the at the end of 6 weeks, if you're like, okay, I'm an angry creator, I'm pissed off, I'm pissed off that I've been
Mm.
in victim for all those years, we are celebrating because you're stepping into joyful creator, like you're
Yes.
on your way. And so
Yes.
we've seen this for 21 years doing this work of, it's normal and natural to get angry. So if you've been
Yeah.
feeling hard on yourself, or you're like, I'm pissed, like be pissed, but don't project that anger onto the driver that cut you off or onto your boyfriend that made a snarky comment. Just laugh it off. Like,
Or onto the
don't put your
gluten.
anger in the wrong places. Feel the anger, right? Feel the anger and like be with it, ride it, take it
Mm.
for a run, go to a boxing class and like punch the shit out of that bag, right?
Yeah.
Like don't be upset that you're angry. That's what I want to
Mm.
highlight for whoever's walking on this healing journey, because it's natural to feel waves of anger, and then it's natural to want to project it and blame someone or blame something. But
Mm.
if you want to be the creator of your life, catch those blame moments. They're so subtle. Oh my God.
Mm.
It's the shampoo that I use. That's why my hair's thinning. It's the oil that I use. That's why I'm breaking out. We do it all the time. And if you can be just so aware, right? That's why I call my students medicine women, because they're drawn to soul medicine because they are the medicine, right? And it's this journey of remembering, because if we're stuck in pain so much, it consumes our energy. Like we're in bed sick, or we're walking with pain, or we can't play with our kids because our back hurts, or
Mm.
we lost our voice so we can't talk, all the things that happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's so
ah,
true.
fire alarm goes off. We're on fire.
We
We're
are.
nailing
Oh man, we really
it. Take
are.
it away. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, seriously. Gosh, there was something I wanted to say about that, and then the fire alarm went off. So the anger, oh, the movement from going to angry creator. It reminds me of David Hawkins' work. I don't know if you've ever read any of his work. I talk about him a lot on the podcast. He has several different books, but in one of his books, he talks about like the lowest level of consciousness all the way up to the highest level of consciousness, and he talks about how
Yeah,
like one of the lowest levels of consciousness is like being in like apathy, like victimhood, and then, like, even if you
exactly.
go to anger, that's actually a step in the right direction because anger is above the energy
Exactly.
of
That's
apathy.
right.
So it reminds me
That's
it's really
right.
similar. I love when, like, all the things you're learning kind of start converging. It's like
Oh, so
almost like one of
good.
those little God winks, like, you're on the right path. Keep going, keep learning, keep
Right.
growing. Yeah.
Right. The problem with
Absolutely.
anger that people make is they just put it in the wrong places. And
Yes.
so then my mentor used to always taught me, like, all of us have this rat in the house, and it just runs
Mm.
from our relationship life to our health, to our finances, to our purpose, to our spirituality, to our happiness. And the little rat that we're like, it's running around our house sabotaging. And he
Ah,
taught us how we need to make it a guard rat. Like, listen, we're all going to have a past. We're all going to have a childhood. And we have to learn to honor it, right? And to
mm,
like not make it this thing that runs our life and
absolutely.
sabotages our life. And so that's really, I just love helping people go to the root because it's always deeper than they think, right? We had
Mm-hmm.
this one woman, she openly shares about her journey. One of our students, where she was abducted and brought into sex slavery, and she was
Wow.
stuck in it, and she had no idea that she was being kidnapped. And she had all these experiences in the journey. And now she's doing soul medicine and like,
Wow.
so healed and so liberated if she's talking about it for the first time in her life. And like, just that level of liberation when we have a
Yeah.
safe space to go into,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not like therapy where you go and you sit on the couch and you say the same story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we love that. Like, good job telling your story. Good
Yeah.
job taking up
Yeah.
space. Good job owning it. And
Yeah.
there comes a point in life where it's time to enjoy the heck out of life again. And
Totally.
so we love it at Soul Medicine where we want to hear it once. Like, give me your story, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna tie a freaking beautiful bow around it, wrap it up,
Mm-hmm.
put it under the Christmas tree, and you don't have to open it again unless you're on stage because you're sharing and you're
Yeah.
in your leadership and there's a wisdom nugget in that present that you
Yeah.
love, your trauma, and you open up and you share that wisdom to help someone else. Then you put it back, you tie the bow back up, but there's no more hard feelings, there's no more
Mm.
hatred, there's no more heaviness living inside of you that's causing all the dis-ease,
That
right?
is so good. It's so important because I think it's so easy to get stuck in our story and never grow past it because we're stuck in the story. At the same
Yeah.
time, I think we have to be cautious, right? Of like, spiritual bypassing and never
Oh,
and having that like fake it till you make it, that positivity.
oh,
There's like a fine
gross.
line, and you have to yes, like you said, you have to open it, you have to look at it, and then you have to put it away, and you have to be careful to not bypass that part of it, because you see that. And I did that for the first half of my adult life because I was like, listen, I'm going to just trudge forward. I went through all this stuff and I'm not going to let it hold me down. I'm just going to plow through life. I'm just going to keep plowing through life. And I did. And I plowed and I plowed and I plowed. And one day I was working with this woman. I don't even know what she was exactly, but she said, it's like you have this like pile of shit and it's sitting in your living room and you've thrown a bunch of potpourri at it and you've sprayed all this perfume in the room. But she was like, there's still a pile of shit in your living room and you
Oh
got to
my
get the shit out of the
God,
living room. Otherwise you're going to attract flies. And I was like, wow, that's
100%.
so crazy. And so I had to open that up and I had to go into that place and I had to look at that stuff.
Yep.
And, it comes up from time to time because there's new stuff that I like suppress so deeply that I wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
aware of it. And it comes up
Mm-hmm.
and I look at it, and like you said, and then I tie it up and I put it away. And it's like, I don't need to sit in it all the time and be woe is me. But I also, there's that time that you do look at it. So I love that you're teaching that in such a right way. At least I would consider it a right way, because you can't skip that part. That's a very
It's
important
just an
part here.
effective way. And I think it also like gives honor to all the work that you've been doing up to this
Yeah.
point. I feel like so many women that come into our world, they're kind of they get to this hopeless place of I've been doing everything and I'm still stuck without a lover.
Yeah.
I'm still lonely. I'm still lost in my career. I'm still broke. I'm still in health shambles, right?
Yeah.
At the doctor on medication. It's like, don't give up. Like,
Yeah.
if you just keep going and like find the people who get to hold you and give yourself that gift of being held in sisterhood, right? I love the circles that I go to, the friendships that I have, the coaches and mentors and therapists whenever I need them, right? It's like we're worthy of having that
Mm,
space to clear up and to take up and to you're not wasting time if you're healing and really being with something that's present right now,
mm.
right? Maybe take it for a walk with
Yeah.
yourself and God, right?
Yeah.
Maybe sing a little bit, but
Mm,
don't push it down. Like I know some women they're also afraid to be stuck in it. They're afraid if
yeah.
they go there they're going to be stuck in it again.
Mm,
And I just if you find your people and you can actually articulate it out loud, isn't it life changing when you can actually voice it in front of and be witnessed in this is what I'm stuck in,
mhm.
right? And this is
Yeah.
the repeating cycle. So
Absolutely. So
keep
beautiful.
embracing it. Yeah, keep
Yes.
embracing
Do it.
it.
Do it. Well, if everyone listening, I know we've mentioned soul medicine a couple of times now, but for everyone listening, how do they find you if they want to learn more about your work and how to get into this work or even get sessions in this work? Where do they go? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, so if this is your jam and you want to geek out with us and get results and have fun along the way, you can go to soulmedicine.com, get a free meditation, right? We teach that there's 3 phases of full transformation. One is settle your past. This is the free meditation that we have, which is cutting cords and like really energetically making space for all the dreams that you have. This is Heal Your Life Now and body mind mapping. Heal Your Life Now is a great entry point to doing the work because you can go at your own pace. You can show up for live calls or not. It's really your choice. And then after that, you're invited to a retreat where you can come in person, do the breath work, what we call a soul wash. And then you can continue on to a certification if you're like me, where you're like, oh my God, this is gold. This is my calling. Like, I want to help as many people as possible, right? That's where we teach you everything about body mind mapping and how to create a business with it and get clients and market and all the fun things that I've spent 200 grand on. Plus, I teach you there. What else, babe? We also have a way that you can book in a clarity call. If you're like, I just have some questions, you can hop on a call with a soul medicine coach and just ask all about our programs or one-on-one work with a soul medicine coach or one-on-one work with me, or a retreat. There's all different ways you can play with us. But you can shoot me an Instagram message. I'm always engaged there. And I just love connecting with you, whether we work together or not. I'm just so grateful for this connection and life. And we're dancing and walking each other home. You know, we all have medicine for each other. And so it's my goal to wake up and help as many medicine women remember their magic and their power just in their presence. Like, they don't actually have to do anything. They just have to settle their past so it's not consuming their present moment. And they get to live in love and presence and bring their medicine to their tribe, their family, their loved ones, and be the healer for themselves and the people that are also waking up to, oh my gosh, I don't have to be programmed with BS, belief systems that don't serve me,
I
right?
love
And that's where
that.
the generational healing comes in, where it's like,
Yes.
my mom had breast cancer. I have breast cancer. It means my daughters.
Mm,
No, no, and
yeah,
no. Like, you get to be the one that raises your hand and goes, the cycle ends here. Like
I love
this,
that.
I'm grateful and I'm going to create something new.
100%. Okay. And what is your Instagram handle if they want to connect with you there?
Yeah, so it's Nikki Jade XOXO Nikki Jade Jade, and then XOXO. Hugs and
So
kisses.
perfect. So perfect. So perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I cannot wait to follow up with you with a session, and then we'll have to
Yes,
do
girl.
another follow up interview so we can talk about that because I think that'll be super fun.
That sounds awesome. A little chocolate party.
Yeah, sign me up.
Amazing. Thanks for the work you're doing, babe, and showing up and just holding all the space that you do, being a mama, being a business owner, and then having this passion to just share the magic and the medicine and really the wisdom that you've been collecting with your tribe. And so I'm really just celebrating you holding it all.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Big hugs to you.
Yeah. Love you, babe.
Mwah. Love you too. Thank you so much for listening in. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a review so we can reach more people. I might even share your review on future episodes. If you go to the link in the show notes, you can find and sign up for our newsletter so that you're notified when a new episode comes out. You can support this show by purchasing anything from the Choice Juicery online shop at choicejuicery.com. Or, of course, if you're lucky enough to live in San Diego, you can visit any of our 7 locations here in San Diego and Orange County. And please feel free to connect with me on social media at Nastasha Mckeon. That's NASTASHAMCKEON. Don't forget that extra S. Or you can connect with us at the Choice Juicery Instagram at Choice Juicery. Thanks again for listening in.